once again to Augusta, Missouri, where we're filming the video that explains the airplane block for our Missouri Bicentennial Quilt, the Spirit of St. Louis. A lot of you have already made this block, so it'll be kind of repetitive to you, but some of you haven't tackled it yet, so just to put this in the archives of how to make this block, here we go. Of course, I had to do the block representing the Spirit of St. Louis because it's part of our history. Interesting fact about the block is that the only reason it has anything to do with St. Louis is that the investors who put up the money for the plane were from St. Louis and they got to name the block. Other than that, it really didn't have a lot to do with St. Louis. It wasn't built here or anything like that. I mean, eventually we have an aviation tradition here in St. Louis that kind of started at this time, but basically the money guys got to name the block and they named it the Spirit of St. Louis, so I thought that was kind of cool. It's not a hard block. I know some of you whipped through it with ease. Some of you went, too many little pieces. So let me just kind of show you an easy way to do this if you haven't made your block yet. The directions tell you how to cut out your block. And when I did the background first. So I actually told you what to cut out top to bottom. So the first thing you cut out was this. And then it was these things. And then this. And then this. And I kind of went in order, kind of on purpose, and laid it out so that you could see that it really wasn't too bad to assemble. So once you get, like on this picture, you can kind of see the plane emerging. After I got all my background cut out, you can kind of see where the plane should be. So I just laid out all my background fabric. And then from various pieces, I tell you what size to cut for the wing, the tail, the body, and the nose cone and the propeller. And obviously this is kind of where it fits in. You can kind of tell where it fits in. The only tricky part, there are no half square triangles in this block, so you can clap about that one. There's a little bit of snowballing, i.e. rounding the corners. So for example, on this section, you're just kind of rounding the tail corners. And then once they're rounded and trimmed and pressed, then you just kind of sew this whole section together. Just be careful to use a very accurate 1/4 inch, maybe even a scant 1/4 inch, a little hair under a 1/4 inch. This section is pretty straightforward, and I'm going to explain more about this in a minute. And then here's your wing. Same thing, you're just kind of rounding the wing tips with these little snowballing things, and then you're just finishing this line. This is a little more intricate because it's kind of a point for the nose cone right here. So you're snowballing these two little sections. You're just going to snowball these little rascals. And you know how to do that because we've done it 100 times. And by doing that, then you're going to form this little nose cone right here. All right? So you just do that on both. And then kind of sew these together. Then obviously sew your propeller in. And then sew the sides in to make the whole long piece. And then this is an easy piece. These are your two easiest pieces right there. So once you get each section done, and pressed, ready to go, then it's just a matter of sewing this section to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. And then once it's all sewn together and you've pressed all your seams on the back, then with good hope, you should be 12.5 inches square on your block. It's not hard, but once again, it's just kind of has a lot of little pieces, but don't let that overwhelm you because you just deal with them a little at a time. Okay? Like math problems, Anyway. So that is not a bad thing. So once you get all your pieces, all your rows sewn together, there's some optional embroidery that you can do on this. I actually copied. This is actually how the name of the plane was printed or painted on the side of the plane. So that is the actual font and everything that was on the actual plane. You can certainly put that wherever you like. It doesn't have to be there. I'm just kind of I like things crooked for some reason. And this is the actual number of the plane. And X stood for experimental because it was kind of an experimental plane. And so I just put it there. You certainly could put it there. You can put it wherever you like, or you leave it off. It's totally up to you. I've seen a lot of neat interpretations of this block on the Facebook group, which I'd like to encourage you to join. A lot of neat interpretations to include different playing patterns, which is great. I had a slight limitation on what I could present in that I couldn't use anything that was commercially sold to the public because this was a free project through the library. So, but a lot of you found some really neat patterns out there that you used in lieu of this one, and that is perfectly fine. And I saw one where they added clouds in the background. It was a lovely block. Some people changed the design of this, I guess that's the fuselage, is that what it's called? The body of the plane, whatever technical term, this. So I wanted to address that a little bit. Someone said something to me even recently about how they wanted their plane to be more angular here. And honestly, I just couldn't think of how to explain that to you easily for this purpose, so I went straight with just a rectangle. What you could do, if you wanted a more angular body, you could cut out this piece here to be a full 12 and a half inches by whatever this measurement is. I don't remember offhand. And you can just have that as a background piece and applique this on. So then cut this piece out how you want it, and you can either just turn it under and stitch it on, or it'd be a way you could get that kind of that more that different shaped body. You could totally applique that on. That's kind of the way I probably would do it if I was going to do that. So there was just a tip, and there's probably lots of other ways you could do it. That's the way I probably would have tackled it had I thought of it. But I wanted to show you one more tip, because a lot of people are. One lady in particular I saw on the Facebook group, because I was thinking of this as well. She actually had her plane flying on the diagonal, which I thought would be really cool. So to do that, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I made my block, but I'm going to actually pretend I'm sewing this on. I'm going to add on the background all the way around. And this is if you want to get a more angular look to your plane, or where he's flying off on the diagonal. So you have to add more background fabric. And then I happen to have like a 12 and a half inch square ruler, which is kind of handy. So I want him, see, this is how he looks now, but say I want my plane to, let's see, get him kind of centered here. So I want my plane to kind of, think of it in the quilt, he's going to be crooked. He's going to be flying off into the wide blue yonder. So to do that, you have to add more background to it. Press, 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 get it all nice and flat, and then cut out. And this had a nice line down the center, which I was able to line up down the center of the plane. Then I can cut this out now, and then when I put my plain block in the quilt, it's flying. It's turned to one side or the other, whichever way you decide to turn it. So I know a lot of you had asked about that, and so that's a way you could accomplish that. And don't panic that you feel that you waste some background fabric, because really you're only using a little bit more, and you can just put these in your scrap pile, and you'll be using these as we go and cutting out small pieces to use down the road. So it's not really a waste, but it's just a way to get that block that's kind of flying on the diagonal in your quilt if you choose to. Coordinate seam is very important. Design board is very helpful with this project as you lay it out on the design board, and you can kind of sit down and sew each section, and it's real obvious what you need to do on each section. A lot of snowballing, no half square triangles. Okay, and in this particular month's pattern, I do believe we included a bonus block for a birthday cake that was a free pattern online that was promoted by a certain designer out in the quilt world. It was a free block, so it's available to you for free. But it's a birthday cake, and I thought it'd be really a nice addition if you search for those birthday cakes in St. Louis a few years ago. If you enjoyed that, I think it was 2014, they had their 250th anniversary or something like that. So, or somebody in the Facebook group did Happy Birthday Missouri and did the years, and so it's going to be kind of if you're making extra blocks and you don't have an idea, it'd be a lot of fun to do. So that's the extra bonus block this month is the birthday cake along with the airplane. And I hope if you haven't made it yet, don't be Hope you're not overwhelmed about making it. Just take it a little step at a time, a little row at a time, and then sew your rows together, and then you're done. So, and if it's a little bit too small, guess what? We can always add some stuff around the edge and cut it to size. So don't panic on that, on any of your blocks. So there you go, Spirit of St. Louis block for our Missouri Bicentennial Quilt. Good luck, safe flying, enjoy, bye.